In part 2 of this episode, we explore what trustworthiness looks like in practice. Let's dive in.
You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. My next question is, given the high pressure environment that we know mapping will always be from everything that's happening, not just within our country, but all of the pressures globally, what does trustworthiness look like in practice? And I'm talking here beyond the core values that I know your respective organizations may have placed on your walls and on screens, etc. What does that look like in practice?
Well, I could share a little bit, Marsha. Trust is one word, and it's a small word, but it's a very meaty word. In that you have to be reliable, we have to be accountable, you have to have integrity. So there are many things that really form that ball of trust that we have. And you're right, it's on all of the walls of various organizations. But again, it's how it shows up in interactions. So you're only as good as your last interaction sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And
morning words in your evening words.
correct, morning words, evening words, what you come with from home.
Yeah.
And I would say in the environment of extreme pressure that we all are under on a day-to-day basis, it's how reliably trustworthy you show up, because it has to be consistent.
Yeah.
And when you are feeling that pressure that you may not make the best decision, we spoke about it a little bit before, it's your responsibility to step back. And you have to know your own triggers. Sometimes you know how you feel internally, and you may not show up as your best self, as your most responsible self, as your most trustworthy self, or in your most, glowing show of being a leader. And you have to know that, listen, or I think if your team could trust you enough to say, and you would be able to say, I need a minute. Team, let's take a couple of steps back, because this has evolved into something that will not have the optimal outcome. Let's step back. And I think all of that rolls into how you perform as a leader, where people can see you as having that level head that they can trust, because it's useful in how we do our day-to-day lives, I would say.
If I could take a different tack on it, what Carlene said though, and Marsha, just to go back to, you talk about, values on the wall and so forth, but also not only on the wall, but every year we would sign oaths of, ethics and so on, and codes of conduct, and we sign up for them. Sometimes as a leader, you also have to remind people that they're not just words on the wall, or that they have signed on to something. And it's often having difficult conversations with someone where you have to say, remember, these aren't just words. This is who we are, and this is how we have to show up every day, not just when it's convenient. And that integrity has to be with you every day. And the honesty, sometimes in difficult conversations, is what really, because you still have to keep yourself accountable and keep others accountable.
Yeah.
And I find sometimes even in those difficult conversations, you gain the respect back, because you can have it privately with someone and say, hear what, I'm going to have this conversation with you before the official conversation.
Yeah. Let's do the preamble.
Yes. Yes.
So I think from what I'm hearing from Claire and Carlene is the word consistency. That is it. That's foundational. You have to be consistent. No matter what news or orders you're giving, you have to be consistent.
Yes.
And I think it's hard when you're saying difficult conversations, but we do a program called Courageous Conversations. And it's courageous because they're difficult. I mean, as much as you're the leader,
remember that.
you want to go, I need to have a courageous conversation. Courageous.
But I'll add one thing. I say this all the time, and we all work in very process-driven environments where the level of organization is good. Sometimes there are no policies and procedures to help us with these discussions or even these situations. There is nothing to defer to. You just have to use your innate experiences and what you've built over the years.
Trust yourself.
that you can bring this to a good outcome. Yes.
Absolutely. And to Claire, on your point, that can, and George, consistency, whether it's good news you're delivering or it's one of those courageous conversations, because that's when the trust really kicks in. To hold somebody accountable, whether you as a leader having a bad day or they as the team member having a bad day, isn't easy. But because you have the relationship and you've been consistently showing up to that person, that conversation can ensue.
Yes.
And the learning and the trust that's built. And the reason why this specific episode is focused on trust is when you think about what banking is, while we're not looking into the core of your banking, what is banking predicated on?
Trust.
That's right.
Trust.
Yeah.
Fundamentally.
And, I quite remember if you hear you talking to yourself, and, you know, and we are so aware of social media and so global, but at the end of the day, our islands, our region,
Yes.
we are about that relationship piece. I think more so than other parts of the world. So I'm going to go to a next question, which is, how has your approach to trustworthiness influenced the culture that, of course, you are enabling in the organizations that you lead, and the performance of the teams that you lead?
Well, I like to let people show up as they are and then edit or audit as we go along. So I like the Phil Jackson. A lot of people would say Phil Jackson was he had the best players ever. But he was the greatest coach because he had the best players ever, because you had these huge egos, you know, and interests. You know, the whole industry is based on these people under his charge. And he let them show up as they were, and then he edited and audited as necessary to keep things on track. So I think that's
I like that, because I'll tell you why that is even pertinent in the times we live in. We have various demographics of staff members working for us. Correct. And the truth is, what I was led to believe a leader should look like when I started my career is definitely what you see, not what you see sitting down here, right? When I joined the bank so many years ago, and I'm going to say because the number kind of confusing me right now, right? But the manager sat in an office. They didn't, culture, while the word existed in English, it may not have been as prevalent as a mandate, and there were different expectations from a leader in the past. And we have this saying, you lead by example, but the examples, I think I could speak for my colleagues, that we all had in our early careers are not what is expected of us now. And I will say that, some of what we hear, you speak about the young generation and what is perceived to be their flaws or, disadvantages. When you sit and you speak to people, there is a really interesting brain that exists there. And if you take the time to understand as a leader, which I think now you must, right? Correct. What really drives them? So what could be looking as boredom right now could really be boredom, because the job is really so challenging, but they have a brain that clicking that could take you forward. And this may not be someone who is in a senior role. So again, it's the way you take an interest in people. But again, having those discussions, how they trust how you come across. Because they don't want to be seen as the big boss. Come down and speak to them. You have to have that authenticity and take the time. And I think that's it.
So remember their name.
Correct. No, I was telling Claire and Marsha earlier that when I first joined the bank as a teller, just like Carlene, the number confusing me right now as well. And I will always remember the managing director at the time visit the branches, and he's coming around and he's calling everybody by name. And I'm a lowly teller, and I'm like, how does the MD know who I am? And exactly. And he took the time to learn the names of every single employee of the bank at that time. In my view, something remarkable. But it just wasn't about learning names. It was about that connection
Yeah.
between you and your staff, that they genuinely feel that this guy is the MD or the CEO, but he know me. Like, look, trust me, I felt like I had won $1 million.
Yes.
And it's still with you, Victor.
Yeah, and it is, and within CIBC. Sorry, no, we're not talking about banks here, but we have a core value within the bank about a culture of care, and a culture of care is something that permeates the entire organization, driven from the CEO of the bank straight down to the organization. And trust and a culture of care are uniquely aligned, because I can't talk about a culture of care and not show up when that culture of care needs to be manifested. For example,
Yes.
if you have a son or a daughter that is not well for the day, and you call your boss and say, "Boss, I can't come in today, the daughter's sick," and your boss tells you, "But you got work to do at the bank. You got you're behind on your targets. You gotta come in." We two of those don't. You understand what I mean? They're not your evening words. They matching up with your morning words. And so to me, that trust and the culture of care that we're trying to demonstrate on a daily basis within the organization, the two go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I was just going to say, what you're saying reminds me of Maya Angelou's words, that people may sometimes forget what you say, but they
Yes.
will never forget
Forget
how you make them feel.
Yeah.
Feelings, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when we were talking, I have my own scenario. I joined banking and not calling banks, but I'm calling public bank. And I was junior. And we had, to your Mr. Vance, Donval McIntyre, love you, Mr. Mac. And he would come through every branch. I remember your name.
Yeah.
Fast forward, grown, left the bank. I'm in visiting Trinidad at LSD. I see Mr. Mac and his son, who at the time was working at the bank I was at. And he goes, "Hello, Marsha. You know, I'm like, wait, but it must be because I've not been here since." But it was not that. Your point, it was intentional.
Yes.
I remembered whether Mark whispered her name is Marsha or not. It was irrelevant. I believe he did. Mr. McIntyre's hallmark was he knew you.
Yes.
Yes.
And to this day, one of my leadership, I'd like to say, mandates is when I interact, I'm going to make a point to remember your name.
Yes.
Whether it's it always, as we age, it's get a little harder. But it's about, I see you.
And that's interesting. I may not remember the name, but I remember what you've told me
Yes.
and what's important to you. So if you've said, well, I like to do this, or
I thought Claire was going to say, might not remember your name, but I know the face.
David Bobby.
Yeah. It's awesome.
yeah.
Because whether it's
What's
the name
important
or
to
the
them.
face or something that people know that they feel, oh, I made a mark.
Yes.
I left a mark. Because at the end of the day, as you all said, we're just human beings.
Yes.
And I think it's important for us to be able to say that a lot of people don't realize, but we look beyond the job title. So people think, I only know you because you're my top sales performer, right? And I only know, and I'm only speaking to these people. But the truth of the matter is that we are seeing you, and many times the best interactions we have are on our downtime. So we all are aligned to various organizations and people see us showing up in a certain way at work. But the truth is, we show up in a very similar way when we're at the supermarket, when we're at church or wherever else that we do our social activities. And that's the real thing. It's how you are, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it is who you are. This thing has to be genuine. If not, you cannot genuinely be one person at home and be somebody different. Yeah.
I think that is the real hallmark of what trust is.
Yeah.
That you are consistent.
Yeah.
But, well, an example that comes to me is there's something that we're all struggling with every day and every night. I don't know if I'm supposed to call it it with everything in this, but what touched me was, and I mean, and this is how I work, but these young people, they've commandeered a room. And they refuse to leave it. And when they say you have to send them home, and when they go back home, they're logged back on, and 2, 3 in the morning, they're still on. And
Saturday and Sunday.
and Saturday and
Sunday.
Sunday. And if I barely say I am going to help, I see the level of work increases. Like they're working a little harder. Like it's like, no. So it is, I think, it is what I presented up front. I didn't realize it impacted them like that. But there's that trust too, that this is the right thing to do. And let us bet the farm on this. So I never asked them to extend.
People see how you show up.
Yeah.
And they do. They see how you show up.
But also, I mean, to the point that George was raising as well, like if people see that you have the capacity to get down in the weeds when it is necessary with them, that's a game changer, you know. Like you don't have to, but if they see that you are putting in the effort alongside them, and you're also making a sacrifice when in these times that we are in, and you know you're going the extra mile, you're leaving the office late. It sends a serious message to the folks. They're driven by stuff like that. Yeah.
I want to say no congratulations to everybody, because we were all struggling. I got a fast start like Ben Johnson, but I see everybody just like.
And this is an interesting scenario where, unlike George, some of us are not technical experts. And so this is about leading people who have more knowledge than you do, and trusting them,
And they're trusting you,
and them trusting.
that you put them on this path, and they're going to stick to
Correct,
it.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's so
Knowing
important.
how to fill
Yes.
those gaps. That's
Yeah.
And where your role is, what your leadership role is in this
Correct.
space.
Yes.
Yes.
And even you trusting them and they trusting you, it's a two-way street, really. I mean, I'll tell you, coming here, a quick conversation, and I had to say, okay, break this down for me, very layman, because I do not understand. You're asking for this. What does this really mean? And, you know, I think it goes for us to trust our teams that we don't look foolish in front of them. Because really, if I had that fear, I could have not asked the right questions, and I could have been, you know, relaying because there was another conversation to be had after, right? And not even be able to ask what I needed to have asked to get us as a team where we needed to be, right? I mean, we speak in a little vague, but we all understand. We all dealing with these things, right?
we're going to get there.
Right?
We have to.
But the truth of the matter is that trust, you know, sometimes it looks like, you know, only certain people trust us and we have to act a certain way, but it's us trusting other people that they see us really being inquisitive and curious as to what we need to do as a team to get us forward. And I think that's a big part that we've learned, I will say personally, over even the past few weeks.
So if I were to say to you at times, trust also is about you as leaders showing up vulnerable, which is actually
Yes, one of
last
your,
episode
yes, I was
that
going
we
to say,
had.
yeah.
And say, look, I don't know,
Yes.
but I trust that you do.
Yeah.
Which is what I hear
Yeah.
you say. I brought you on.
And what do you need me to do to open the doors, to clear the path?
So at the end of the day, that's what leaders are. You know,
To take the lift.
doors, get the lift.
Take the lift.
Yeah.
And say, all right, shake it off.
Yeah.
But it's showing like, if you believe in the servant leadership lifestyle,
100%.
I'm sure
Yes.
like we all do.
Yes.
This is where we really need to show our teams that we are supporting them, like because they're the ones technically more sound than we are. So
I start by thanking them.
Yeah,
I
correct.
start by thanking them.
Yeah.
A place of gratitude all the time, because I can't get us there. We all as a team have to get us there.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, you know, I start the whole time with a thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Making sure our hearts are.
And then we crack the whip.
I mean, come on, we have to at times.
Yeah.
But I think again, when you crack the whip, and we're talking about a specific instance here, but I think that they trust us and we have exhibited the consistency that they know we are trying the best as we have to help us all along. They don't look at us, with the disdain that existed a couple of months ago when, you're cracking the whip, because I think they've said, listen, we all in this together. And you know what? Just as we have to work the long hours, they're working longer hours, they're seeing the letters, they're seeing the evidence, and they're vested, yes.
So I just got this thing now, because I'm with my people, so we could be here for 2 hours. I think you all have that meeting that involves this conversation. So I know we have to wrap up. So my last question is, as you each continue to evolve as leaders, what does it take to remain trustworthy, especially when the expectations and pressures continue to grow, but also the pace at which change is just constantly taking place? Yeah.
The operating system remains the same. Stick to the fundamentals. Consistency, authenticity, the openness, the integrity, as Claire said. All the things that my colleagues have said. Just keep doing it no matter what happens. You stick to those fundamentals, I think we're fine.
No, I'm agreeing with George, because at the end of the day, the world is evolving. New challenges come to us on a daily basis, opportunities and challenges. Iterations of life, things happen, right? But once you have that core principle in you, whether it's in your professional life, in your personal life, and being cognizant of how you're showing up, and if this is the best way that I could show up. So again, always that self-reflection. Could I do better? Could I do differently? I think that's kind of how it goes. You have to be like that,
Bring your authentic
Yes.
self and then aspire to be better. I always say, if I haven't learned something every day, I'm wasting my time and yours. Yeah. If I haven't learned something new,
Yeah, just intentionality. Basically, it's like you literally gotta intend it, and and just be like brutally just consistent about it, because
Fight with
if
yourself.
not, yeah.
Yeah.
If not, you can fall off the wagon. This thing, we're human beings.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're human beings, and sometimes you just have to consciously just do the thing. It has to be conscious. So yeah. That's the signal. Yeah.
That was an alarm. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
So folks, as we close, that was quite timely, that was on cue. I'm hearing consistency. I'm hearing from Claire being that authentic self, but also aspiring to be better. Yeah? Being intentional.
Intentional.
So thank you, Victor, for that. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
I'm gonna leave George for last.
The operator.
Operating system. Yeah.
Spoke about, as always, making sure that you show up. And that segues into what we've all been discussing, that consistency. Knowing that voice, knowing yourself, looking every day at that who's in the mirror and say, am I showing up as my best self for me and for the people I lead? This is the Awakening platform. Thank you very much, colleagues, for being here. It was
Thank
a
you.
invigorating conversation. I wish you all a fabulous rest of the day. And with that project that you have, and it's going to be awesome, because
It will be.
Yes, it will be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you very much.
invitation.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Yes.
Tune in next time on the Awakening Podcast.